All right, so for my 10-hour project, I decided to study perception and empathy and how they affect meaningful and communication. One of the things that helped me to figure this out or want to do this is just I noticed that I'm not very good at small talk and I struggle making connections with people unless our conversation has like an end goal. So perception and communication is how we view ourselves and others. Perception is vital in communication. It's how we view others that lays the foundation of how we will communicate with others. If I am frightened or intimidated by someone, then my communication with them could come off as hostile or defensive, and that's all through perception, right? On the flip side, if I enter a conversation calm and collected, the conversation will do the same. Empathy is how we're able to understand one another and view others in a wholesome, positive way. It's caring for others and viewing them in a Christ-like manner. How does that apply to communication? I wanted to kind of space out my project and try to improve over time. And so when we learned about this earlier in the semester, I decided that I was going to take an hour during sacrament meeting on Sundays or even after a little bit, take an hour or two every Sunday and just analyze conversations. The conversations I had with others around me, the conversations that I overheard and kind of eavesdrops on, and just kind of see if I could figure out how perception and empathy played into those conversations as communication tools. It was really interesting. As I mentioned, I struggle with small talk, and so I tend to come off rude to people sometimes as I just try to get the conversation over with and then move on. And that's not the best way to communicate, I've found. And so I made some notes here to kind of help me compile my thoughts. As I worked through this project, I tried to look at people in a different light. I tried to perceive them differently, with more empathy and in that Christ-like manner, in an effort to make communication flow easily and more meaningful. And I found that it worked. Rather than viewing conversations with people as unnecessary small talk or even necessary small talk, that had to just get over with and be done with, I decided to view them as people, as children of God. And that helped change my perception. I tried to change my perception of them in an effort to communicate more fully. As I did that, I was reminded of a talk, and one of the things that kind of helped me to figure out that I want to do it this way was a talk from Elder Eyring, when he said that the advice that he gave was that we should treat others as if they were in serious trouble, and if we did so half of the time or more than half the time, we would be right, and that those people really would be struggling, and it would be our opportunity to reach out and to lend a hand where we could and lift and buoy those around us in a Christ-like manner. As I did that, it was a struggle in the beginning, but as I tried to perceive others in a different way and have more meaningful communication, show empathy in that way, the single widow who comes up to me and tells me how cute my kids are on Sunday, I learned that she's just incredibly lonely and that Sundays are the only time that she gets to interact with people and watch little kids run around. And I learned that the quiet couple who sat behind us was struggling and with missing their missionary who's out serving on mission. And I learned that the single guy who sits on the back row, who's just barely starting to come back to church, is coming back for the first time in years and is struggling, feeling like he can fit in. And so as I tried to perceive people differently and try to lead into conversations with more empathy, I learned that a lot of times people are struggling and that meaningful communication is what they need to be able to get past their struggles. So it really encouraged me to be better at my communication and to learn how to be more meaningful and show more empathy in that way. In conclusion, the 10-hour project has helped me to see that communication is a tool to an end. That end should be connecting with and encouraging others. So thank you.